To another episode of Codo Cinema, the podcast show where I talk about movies. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman, and we are back for another episode of Codo Cinema. So, you all are probably wondering what movie I'm going to talk about today. But first, before I reveal the movie, I would like to welcome back a guest. It's my brother Mike.
Hello, Mark. Thank you for having me back on to Codo Cinema. I know it's been a while since you've been very busy with work.
Yeah, I know, I've been pretty busy lately, but hey, at least we're here now. We're going to talk about a movie today for Codo Cinema.
That's right, Mark. And what film are we going to be talking about today?
Now, this one's going to be from Walt Disney, and it will be Walt Disney's The Lion King. And the reason why we're going to talk about this, well, this movie is celebrating its 30th anniversary. And of course, this movie is often regarded as one of the greatest Walt Disney animated films of all time.
I totally agree, because it's up there in the Disney Renaissance area. Back in the late 80s and early 90s, like from other Disney animated films, they're just little classics from The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, and of course The Lion King. So this film, The Lion King, is one of them.
That is right. The Lion King is obviously one of the best Disney animated films of all time. In fact, when it was first released, it received critical acclaim for its music, story, themes, and animation. But of course, the music in this movie, is basically different compared to the other Disney movies that came out during the Renaissance period. Now, granted, each music is different, but of course, with The Lion King, it takes it to another level. Like, if you really think about it, each Disney animated movie, like in the Renaissance era, for example, like each music or song goes into a different direction, and of course, going up next level. But for Lion King, I feel like The Lion King has some of the most memorable musical numbers. You got songs that are actually written by Elton John and Tim Rice, like Can You Feel the Love Tonight, the actual Lion King theme circle, which is the Circle of Life, I Just Can't Wait to Be King, of course many other songs as well. And of course we can't forget the music being composed by Hans Zimmer.
Yep, Hans Zimmer, the music composer for The Lion King.
In fact, the music was so good, it won 2 Academy Awards. One of them went to composer Hans Zimmer, which was actually his first Academy Award win, and then the second Oscar, which went to the best song category. It actually went to Elton John for Can You Feel the Love Tonight, and that says a lot of how great this music is, especially when it won 2 Academy Awards. Besides the critical acclaim and the Oscar win, it had an initial worldwide gross of $763 million, and it finished its theatrical run as the highest grossing film of 1994, and of course the second highest grossing film of all time behind Jurassic Park. Plus, it also held the title of being the highest grossing animated film until it was overtaken by Finding Nemo, to which Finding Nemo grossed over $940.3 million, and that movie came out in 2003. Lion King came out in 1994, plus in honor of its 30th anniversary. Of course, The Lion King also had several re-releases. So, over time, after its re-release, it actually grossed $978.8 million as of this year.
That's a lot of money.
In fact, the film remains the highest grossing traditionally animated film of all time, as well as the best selling film on home video, having sold over 55 million copies worldwide. That's a lot of copies, right?
That is right.
We need to mention the story.
Of course, the story of this movie.
So let's talk now. Let's give a little plot. Now let's give a little plot summary of. Obviously enough, the plot summary of this movie is actually inspired inspired by William Shakespeare's stage play of Hamlet, with some influence from biblical stories of Joseph and Moses. And this film follows a young heir apparent who is forced to flee after his uncle kills his father and usurps the throne. After growing up in exile, the rightful king returns to challenge his uncle and ends his tyrannical rule over the kingdom. And obviously, this is obviously referring to the king's son, who's basically the rightful heir to the circle of life.
And that is Simba.
Yes, that is right. Simba is obviously the main character in The Lion King.
And Simba, the voice actor who plays Simba, is voiced by none other than Matthew Broderick.
That is right. Matthew Broderick voices Simba, and I was actually surprised. I was surprised that he voiced him. In fact, we see a young Simba too, who's being voiced by Jonathan Taylor Thomas in the first half of the movie. Matthew Broderick voices Simba in the second half of the movie. Of course, Matthew Broderick was coming off the heels of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Biloxi Blues, even the Civil War movie Glory.
Don't forget War Games.
That is true.
Including The Freshman.
That is true. And also, while we're also on the subject of cast, we have a huge cast, which obviously Matthew Broderick, but it also includes Jeremy Irons, James Earl Jones, Mariah Kelly, Nathan Lane, Ernie Sabella, Rowan Atkinson, Mage Sinclair, Whoopi Goldberg, and of course Jim Cummings, just to name a few. I mean, this is a pretty big cast, especially for a Walt Disney classic.
That's definitely true.
But anyway, this voice cast, I will say this: they do a very good job voicing these characters. And to give credit where credit is due, I say Matthew Broderick, Jeremy Irons, and James Earl Jones brought their A game as the three main characters in this movie.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, Matthew Broderick, I thought he was a good choice to play Simba. And of course, speaking of other good choices, who would have thought that Jeremy Irons playing Simba's uncle Scar as the main villain, plus being Mufasa's younger brother and rival who seizes the throne.
Yep.
And by the way, I say Scar is obviously one of the best Disney animated villains. I mean, when you have Jeremy Irons, is there anything else? Is there anything to say about Jeremy Irons? He literally brings his A game. Like, he's obviously going to be remembered for voicing Scar in The Lion King.
That is totally right. Jeremy Irons plays the best Scar in the animated film.
I mean, yes, he does. He does. Now, he has also done other movie roles as well. He even played Hans Gruber's brother Simon in Die Hard 3. Plus, he also played Alfred in Zack Snyder's Batman vs Superman, and of course Justice League as well.
Well, two versions of Justice League. One with Joss Whedon, and the other is Zack Snyder's.
That's true.
And of course, The Flash.
That is true. But I gotta be honest. Going back to both Simba and Scar, obviously Simba is basically Hamlet, Prince Hamlet, and while Scar is basically Claudius. Because if you really think about it, and since this movie is inspired by Hamlet, Simba is basically Hamlet, and Claudius is basically Scar. Because this movie is obviously inspired by William Shakespeare's Hamlet.
I didn't even notice that.
I mean, it's got a real good Shakespearean vibe to it. It's got that Shakespearean feel to it. And let's not forget, since we're on the subject of Simba, since we're on the subject of basically Hamlet, plus knowing the fact that Hamlet is going after Claudius, the fact that Claudius is the one who killed his own brother. Let's talk about Mufasa.
Yep.
That's right. In the opening of the movie, like here's the thing. In the opening of the movie, I mean, obviously, Mufasa and his wife, Queen Sarabi, like they gave birth to Simba. You know, Simba as a lion cub, and then like this is during the famous opening musical number, The Circle of Life, one of the best Disney openings of all time.
They actually showed the sun rising up.
That is true.
And the animals coming together to Pride Rock to see the newborn son. And that newborn son is Simba.
That's right. And then even after the song, after the song and seeing the title, and of course all the animals bowing down for their future king, we see Mufasa and Scar, you know, I want to say arguing with each other, especially the fact that Mufasa didn't see Scar at the presentation of Simba. Like, you know right away what's going on, right?
Yes. Oh, don't forget Zazu.
Zazu also stepping in. But let's not forget who's voicing Mufasa.
That's right. It's the late, great James Earl Jones.
Aside from Darth Vader that James Earl Jones has played, Mufasa is another role that James Earl Jones will be remembered for. Like, Mufasa, I would go so far to say Mufasa and Darth Vader are his two best roles.
That is right, folks.
And even this movie, I mean, now looking back at this movie, it's gonna hit hard now. And the reason why I'm gonna say that this movie hits hard now, because just recently James Earl Jones passed away at the age of 93.
Yep, he died on September 9th, 2024 of this year.
Like, this man has left a huge legacy for his acting career. He has acted in a number of roles. Like I said, Darth Vader and Mufasa are his two biggest roles, but he has also done other roles as well. He played Mr. Myrtle in the Sandlot movie. He was also in Field of Dreams. He was also in Conan the Barbarian as well.
Let's not forget, he was in the first two Coming to America films starring Eddie Murphy.
You know, it's nice that how you mentioned that too, because both James Earl Jones and Mage Sinclair, who played Mufasa, and Queen Sarabi, they were both in Coming to America. I think what's funny in that movie is the fact that looking back at that movie now, he was wearing like, what is that? Like a lion coat that around his shoulder. And I saw someone commented on YouTube, someone saying, "Is that Mufasa that he's wearing?"
This is beautiful. What is that, velvet?
Looking back at it now, like, I didn't notice, but I don't know if that was a coincidence or not. The fact that Coming to America kind of teased them both to be in The Lion King is, I don't know if that was genius or not. But looking back at it now, I say it is a funny little coincidence, knowing the fact that the James Earl Jones, who plays the Eddie Murphy's dad in Coming to America, was wearing like an actual lion cloth on his shoulders as like a coat.
Oh man.
I don't know. Maybe the Rob Minkoff saw Coming to America, see James Earl Jones, and was like, oh yeah, he's gonna play Mufasa.
That's right. And Mark, since you mentioned Rob Minkoff, this is one of Rob Minkoff's first film he directed.
Oh, that's right.
Yes. And of course, after The Lion King, he went on to direct other films. One of them is the first two Stuart Little films, which were live action. The Stuart Little 3 movie, which is basically the animated film. He also directed The Haunted Mansion, to which it came out in 2003, starring Eddie Murphy.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And other movies as well, including The Forbidden Kingdom, starring Jet Li and Jackie Chan, along with Mr. Peabody and Sherman, including Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank.
Oh no! Oh yeah, that's right. But anyway, going back to the movie, yeah, like I really enjoyed the first scene between obviously the opening scene, but also the scene between Scar and Mufasa. It's basically their introduction. Their introduction. Like, I like how both James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons were able to bring in their A game. Like, you could definitely tell like they're a bit of a rival. They're basically rivals.
Yes, they are.
You can tell. You can also tell how jealous Scar is.
Yes, he is very, very jealous.
Yeah, because because Scar wants to be king, even though Mufasa is king.
Yes, and especially the line that Scar says, "Well, I was first in line until the little hairball was born."
That hairball is my son and your future king, which is very true at the very end of the movie.
Well, especially when Scar turned his back on Mufasa.
Is that a challenge?
Tempa, I would really challenge you.
Was that foreshadowing the end of the movie?
I'm pretty sure it does.
I think it does. I believe it does. But anyway, we're moving forward. Yeah, but both James Earl Jones and Jeremy Irons, like, come on, like, those two were perfectly casted.
Yes, I believe they both did a fantastic job.
Same with Rowan Atkinson. I love the little jab that he also says. He'll make a handsome throne rug.
Zazu.
Also funny too how Scar ended up in Disney's Hercules.
That is an Easter egg in 1997's Hercules movie.
yeah, because Scar ended up in Disney's Hercules. That's actually very funny. But anyway, let's move forward.
Well, Simba and Mufasa actually went on top of Pride Rock, and you see the sun rising.
Oh yeah, that's right. The sun will set on my time, and will rise with you as the new king.
And this will all be mine?
Yep. The conversation between Simba and Mufasa is good. It showcases like how Mufasa is showing his son like the kingdom. Like, remember, this is in Africa. This is in Africa. And in the way how it's animated, it's beautifully animated. Obviously, it's hand-drawn animation, but there's a little bit of CGI to it. We'll get to more of that in a little bit. But like Mufasa showing Simba like the circle of life, the circle of life, and of course the kingdom itself, especially near Pride Rock. It's a good scene.
That's definitely right. And Zazu shows up.
And of course, Mufasa mentions like when they eat the antelope. Like, you remember the antelope, right? The antelope moment.
Yes, when we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. So, we are all connected in the great circle of life.
That is actually pretty true. And I think, and for those of you who are probably listening, probably already heard about a little bit more about that in science class, right? Because I remember in science class, we had to do like a little circle of like a circle of life type of assignment.
Yeah, and we actually watched the movie back in 7th grade.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, going off topic, me and Mike, we actually watched this movie on home video while growing up. Back then, we didn't even know much about. I mean, we loved The Lion King growing up on home video, but we didn't know a whole lot more until middle school when we started watching it on DVD.
DVD and Blu-ray.
That's true. DVD and Blu-ray, that's where we started to recognize who was involved with this movie in terms of voice acting, production, and of course music as well.
And one of them is Hans Zimmer.
As we mentioned, Hans Zimmer is the composer to the Lion King. Although like we remember the previous Disney movies, Alan Menken Alan Menken composed music for The Little Mermaid, which is basically the start of the Disney Renaissance. And then later on, he continued to do that for Walt Disney's Beauty and the Beast, and of course Aladdin. But then later on down the line, when The Lion King was in development, the filmmakers thought of Hans Zimmer.
That's right. I mean, is there anything we need to say about Hans Zimmer?
Hans Zimmer has composed some of the greatest music compositions for movies.
Well, not just The Lion King. He also composed A League of Their Own, The Prince of Egypt, Spirit, Stallion, The Samurai, the Robert Langdon series, which is The Da Vinci Code, Angels and Demons, Inferno,
Gladiator, The Dark Knight trilogy,
and of course, the first two Dune movies, to which Hans Zimmer won his second Oscar at the 2022 Oscars.
Yeah, and also like you can hear his music. You can hear his music throughout a lot of scenes in this movie, especially between Simba and Mufasa.
Oh, let's not forget Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's true. Pirates of the Caribbean. Can't forget that. But anyway, going back to the movie, even after Simba's conversation with his father, he has a conversation with Scar. His uncle Scar.
I despise guessing games.
That's because Simba was about to go over to the water, was about to go with his dad to the Pride Lands, but Mufasa tells Simba, no, son.
Yeah, Simba has never gone anywhere.
Mufasa doesn't want Simba to get in trouble. Unfortunately, yes, he did get in trouble. Let's be honest, because of the fact that Scar, he's basically let's be honest. Scar is basically the demon lion that he is. Name drop the elephant graveyard to Simba.
Oh dear, I said too much.
Yeah, Scar said too much. Now, yeah, Scar said too much, but of course, Scar tells Simba, remember, it's our little secret.
And of course, when Simba left, you can see the evil look on Scar's face.
Oh yeah, knowing the fact that he tricked him. I like the little details too. Like, Scar is basically devilish, while Mufasa is basically kinder. Like the true a royal king with a good heart. Yeah, and like Scar is tricking Simba, is literally tricking Simba. If you come to think about it, and then of course like later on down the line, like in the next scene, he goes in the later scene, he goes to the elephant graveyard with his friend Nala.
Yep.
Nala, Simba's close friend. It was also amazing. It was also fun too that they had a musical number. They had a musical number of Simba looking forward to the future of being king. I just can't wait to be king. And this was done as a distraction for Zazu because they wanted to get rid of Zazu. That way they could go to the elephant graveyard. But Zazu's like, oh no, I think it's time that you and I arrange a heart-to-heart.
Until he gets hit by a rhino.
That's true. And the rhino sits on him.
I beg your pardon, madam, but get off! Simba! Nala!
Well, let's be honest, that musical number is good. Especially with all the animals singing along too. What did you think of the elephant graveyard? That's pretty creepy, right?
Yes, it is very creepy and dark at the same time.
Oh my goodness! That is a dark scene. Well, I want to say not as dark, but it's still a scary scene, knowing the fact that we're being introduced to the hyenas.
Well, 3 hyenas, and one of them is voiced by Whoopi Goldberg.
Whoopi Goldberg, Cheech Marin, and Jim Cummings. Whoopi Goldberg plays Shenzia. Cheech Marin plays Banzai, and then Ed is being played by Jim Cummings.
Well,
who is also a veteran voice actor too.
he also did the singing voice for Scar.
That's true. Actually, we're gonna get to that pretty soon. But I like the introduction to these three hyenas were definitely funny, but also creepy too. Yep, yep. The three were. I want to say they were torturing the cubs, but even Simba was being a little more brave. He's being brave, like as he wants to take this, especially when he scratches Shenzia in the face.
Yeah, because they were running away from the hyenas, and they actually slide down the elephant skeleton.
Oh, I know that. Oh, yeah, I know. In fact, it was kind of great. In fact, it was kind of crazy. It was actually funny is the fact that the hyenas thought they ordered his dinner to go
No, why?
because the cubs were getting away. There they go! And then Mufasa shows up and takes down the hyenas.
Let's not forget, Simba was trying to war at the hyenas.
That didn't work out pretty well.
And do it again. Come on.
Do it again. But no, Mufasa shows up and beats the living crap out of the hyenas. Even they were trying to like say, even the hyenas are like, oh, that's your son. We didn't know about that. Yeah, no, we know it. Ed nods his head, and then Mufasa roars. And it's like, then the hyenas are like, Tulu, Tulu. Even after that scene, this also leads up to another scene that I like. It's their second conversation they have, but it's at nighttime.
But Simba was very disappointed because he actually got into trouble.
Of course he got into trouble, and even Mufasa says it too. And what's worse, Simba put Nala in danger.
Because Simba wants to be brave like his father.
But of course, being brave doesn't. I mean, I forgot what the rest of the quote says, but like it's like being brave. That doesn't mean you should go out looking for trouble.
But you weren't scared of everything.
But he was for that day. But he was.
Mm-hmm.
He was scared of losing Simba. That's a good point. Even some of the great leaders are scared of losing something if they really think about it. Like even Mufasa is scared of losing Simba.
Yeah. I mean, losing a son like that is very sad.
Yeah, that's very sad and scary, but we're going to get to that pretty soon. But even Mufasa was talking to Simba about the stars. The stars, like even the great kings are up in the night sky, in the stars, and they will guide him through the process.
That's definitely true.
And then of course we get to the next scene, probably one of the best villain songs in this movie.
Oh yeah.
Be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
Be prepared, and that's with Scar and the hyenas. Like, let's be honest. Without this song, without this song, we probably would have gotten one of the best villain songs out there. Now, a lot of people are probably gonna say this is the best villain song from any Walt Disney movie, but in my opinion, Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame is the best Disney villain song. I say Be Prepared comes second.
That's definitely true. Hey, the Be Prepared song is better than This Is the Things I Get from Disney's Wish.
Oh my goodness. You have no idea. This Is the Things I Get is so bad it's catchy. Be Prepared is a lot more memorable than that song from Wish. Like come on. Like Scar set this song up. Like he brings the hyenas dinner, some leftover zebra leg, and all the hyenas were devouring it. Especially when one of the hyenas says, "Yeah, what we're gonna do next? Kill Mufasa."
Precisely.
Leading up to this song. By the way, the songs, as I mentioned, Elton John wrote the songs, and Be Prepared is one of them. Well, Elton John and Tim Rice, I should say.
That's right.
I mean, the song is very it's memorable, it's creepy, it's hellish too. Like you get the atmosphere is very very hellish, especially near the end, where like the color palette turns like it's basically red orange. It's basically red orange, leading up to Scar going up top of the wasteland with the moon shining upon him.
And of course, Jim Cummings did sing for the rest of the song. Be Prepare.
He did because Jeremy. Because what I like about this song is the fact that Jeremy Irons sang most of the song, but later down the line, I think he lost his voice near the end of the song, and then Jim Cummings came in to sing the rest of the song. It's barely a difference, but if you listen to the song, Jeremy Irons sings most of the song, but near the end, like the last I want to say minutes of the song, it's Jim Cummings.
It's no joke.
No joke, and it works very well. Like the whole song is basically Scar being prepared to be the new king, going after Mufasa, killing Mufasa
at the Pride Lands.
At the Pride Lands, and Simba too. Great idea! Who is the king? No king, la la la. And yes, there will be. Wait a minute, you just said.
I will be king. Stick with me, and you will never go hungry again.
Oh my goodness, that makes those lyrics like he said that lines like you'll never go hungry again. Like you could tell that Scar is hungry for power. Like he's hungry for power. You like the visual style, especially with the hyenas, all the hyenas marching towards Scar. You can definitely tell like Scar is his iron claw is out. His iron claw is out. He's got that iron claw. He is ready to take over the Pride Lands as a tyrannical ruler. That's what he wants. That's what basically he's doing. Hey, he's got to be prepared for that.
Yep. Be prepared.
Alright, now we go. Obviously, probably the darkest and saddest scene in this movie. This one, in my opinion, is obviously the darkest and saddest scene in not just The Lion King, but any Disney movie. The death of Mufasa and Scar's portrayal. And this is with the wildebeest stampede. And my goodness, like it is a crazy scene. It's so not only crazy but heavy as well. Because the wildebeests are running after Simba, and this was basically set up because Scar really told the hyenas to go after the wildebeest, which causes a stampede to chase after Simba, which alerts the attention of Mufasa, and both Scar and Mufasa are trying to go after Simba, but of course we all know what was going on. Scar set this whole thing up to kill Mufasa.
Oh boy, and of course, while we're on the subject of the wildebeest stampede, it's basically CGI.
That is right, the wildebeest stampede is all CGI. The wildebeest themselves is CGI. Like, a lot of people are probably going to say, that's impossible. Why? That's impossible. That's not CGI. It's traditional hand-drawn animation. That is true. It is 2D animation, but at the time, CGI is mixed. There is CGI into the movie. Like the wildebeest stampede is completely CGI. Like the animators really took their time to make the CGI look good. You can barely tell it's CGI because it's blended so well with the 2D animation.
Yes, and this wasn't the first time that they use CGI.
No, it's not the first time at all. Little Mermaid did that with the opening, most notably the pirate ship in the opening, and then Great Mouse Detective also did that with the final battle inside Big Ben.
You also got Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast did that with the ballroom sequence,
and of course Aladdin.
Right,
where they were trying to escape the King of Wonders.
That's true. That is true. But Lion King took it to the next level.
And I believe the CGI for the wildebeest stampede holds up.
what also makes this scene even more intense is the music from Hans Zimmer. Like the music takes over. It's a literal stampede. It's a literal stampede that is going on, and it's taking over this entire scene. You feel the wildebeest stampede. You're in that stampede. That's how intense that scene is. What's also crazy too, when Mufasa rescues Simba, Mufasa's being dragged into the stampede. He's getting run over multiple times, up until leading up to him jumping on the edge and climbs his way back up. Until then, guess who's beating at the top?
It's Scar.
Mufasa asks Scar for help, but unfortunately, this is where it all happens. This is it. Long live the king. Scar grabs Mufasa's paws with his claws, says the quote, "Long live the king," and literally loses the grip, lets him go, and falls into the stampede. And Simba screams in agony, no, witnessing his father's death. To anybody who's probably listening to this, if anybody's got any tissues out there right now, better use it, because this scene hits hard right now.
Better take him out now, folks.
Take him out now. Take him out now. It's hard. It's hard. Because it's very hard because this next scene is obviously the saddest scene, and it hits hard right now, especially with the passing of James Earl Jones. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I never thought this would come into my mind. Especially with the Lion King, because Simba sees Mufasa dead. His father is dead. And this is one of the few Disney movies where you see the dead body.
Yep.
You see the dead body. When you really think, especially from a parent. Like, think about this. Has there ever been any... there's probably a few Disney movies before where they actually show a dead body. Now, granted, like Snow White and Sleepy Beauty, yeah, they're in a sleep like death, and then they come back to life from True Love's Kiss. But that was like one of the few times where, okay, they're in sleep like death, as if they were dead.
Let's not forget Beauty and the Beast.
True, that's true. Beauty and the Beast did that, but what I'm talking about is like permanently dead, like actually dead permanently. This movie, The Lion King, did that.
Yes,
and it's sad. It's sad because Simba really looked up to his father Mufasa. He tries to wake him up, and comes to realize that, oh no, he's dead. He screams for help, and what's also sad too is the music. Like, the music is so sad. You hear the theme. That is so sad. Even Simba tears up after that. Until Scar comes out of the shadows.
Simba, what you have done.
Oh man, yeah. Scar is a liar. Scar killed his own brother. And of course, Scar tells Simba to run away if Pride Rock hears about Mufasa's death from Simba.
Run away, Simba. Run. Run away and never return. That's what Scar says to Simba.
That's what Scar said to Simba until he orders the hyenas to kill them. Well, hyenas didn't do that because one of them fell into a briar patch.
Yep.
Well, Simba did too, but he was able to make it out alive. Until the hyena says, hey, I ain't going in that briar patch. What do you think I'm gonna do? Come out looking like you? Captain's butt! Until the hyena said, yeah, when we come back, we'll get you! But then, of course, Scar tells the kingdom that Mufasa is dead, and now saying It is with a heavy heart that I will will seek the throne now. Yeah, he'll seek the throne, all right.
Yep,
Going for a new era.
and going to reach the dawning of a new era in which lion and hyena come together.
And then Rafiki sees it all too. I completely forgot about Rafiki in this movie. Like he was in this movie. He was in the beginning of the movie introducing Simba to the kingdom. Yeah, that was him.
It was him.
That was him. And then even he thought Simba was dead.
But we're gonna get to more of Rafiki later on when he talks to Simba.
Because we got Timon and Pumbaa helping Simba out. And Timon and Pumbaa being voiced by Nathan Lane and Ernie Sabella.
And I'll be honest, Nathan Lane in that movie, this is one of his first collaborations with the director Rob Minkoff.
Until Stuart Little, where he voices Snowbell. and then of course I find it funny how Timon was looking at Simba. He's like, what do we get here? Jesus the lion!
Yeah. Hey, Timon, it's just a little lion. Look at him. He's so cute and all alone. Can we keep him?
Pumbaa, what are you talking about? He's gonna grow.
Of course he is.
And then of course they were able to find him some shade. They introduced themselves to Simba, and of course we get to the next song, Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna Matata. It means no worries.
Even during that song, they both sing pretty good, especially for Simba. But it was also, I want to say, a little funny too is when they introduce Pumbaa's backstory.
Oh, that is very hilarious.
Yeah, Pumbaa, who is a warthog, and Timon's a meerkat, by the way. Actually, here, and I quote this: "He found his aroma lacked a certain appeal. He could clear the savannah after every meal."
I'm a sensitive soul, though I seem thick-skinned. And it hurt that my friends never stood downwind. I know the shame.
He was ashamed.
Though of changing my name.
Oh, what's in a name?
And I got downhearted.
How does it feel?
Every time that I farted. Oh, were you trying to stop me?
No, I know. You disgust me. But, yeah, but obviously. Well, wait, Pumbaa. Not in front of the kids.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, if you guys are probably wondering when I'm referencing both movies because Disney both did a live-action remake as well.
That's right, and of course, the live-action remake of The Lion King is celebrating its 5-year anniversary.
That's true as well. And, yeah, so basically Pumbaa was, let's just say Pumbaa's backstory wasn't as pleasant as anything, because Pumbaa's Pumbaa's a pig. Well, a warthog, but a smelly pig.
Yeah, and Timon is a meerkat.
Yeah. By the way, both Timon's got a spin-off as well.
Yep.
But even then, during the rest of the song...
Well, actually, Timon and Pumbaa.
That's true. But even Timon and Pumbaa was showing Simba, like, their jungle home. I like the little landscape of their home. It's like basically a typical African jungle, which is very cool. And then Simba eats bugs. He starts to like the grub. Slimy yet satisfying.
Yep.
And then later down the line, throughout the rest of the song, he grows up he grows out his big red hair, his lion mane, and he's basically enjoying life as of now. He's not even worried at this point. Like the song says, it means no worries for the rest of your days. It's our problem-free philosophy. Hakuna Matata.
Hakuna.
And it keeps on.
Hakuna Matata.
And then
Hakuna Matata.
And then it keeps on going until another scene that we liked is when Zazu is kept in prison. I'm sorry, it's a pretty hilarious scene. It's a hilarious scene where Zazu was prisoned and he's basically singing to Scar, and you can definitely tell that Zazu's not having fun having it.
Nope. Oh, by the way, one of the songs that Zazu was singing was "It's a Small World After All."
It's a small world after all. No, anything but that. But and then of course because Scar wants Zazu to give the music a little bit of bounce the song up. Jump it up a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course you also notice that Scar was holding a lion's skull in his paws, almost resembling like the skull that William Shakespeare has in his hands.
Yep, it's referring to Hamlet.
That's actually a very good reference right there. And then, of course, hyenas are hungry for stinking entrees. But, of course, it's the lionesses' jobs. It's the lionesses' jobs to hunt them. Because the lionesses are the female lions, to which Nala is a female lion. Nala and, of course, Simba's mom are female lions.
And, of course, speaking of lions, Nala is grown up.
That's true. Nala is grown up. And she went to look for help, but she found Simba.
Well, before that, Timon, Pumbaa, and Simba were laying down and looking up at the sky to see the stars.
And that's another scene that I liked is the fact that Simba is somewhat remembering what his father said. He lost his memory. He forgot, but somehow it's starting to get back to him. Very slowly.
Yes.
And then, of course, it leads up to when Simba is basically hanging on over by a cliff. He lays down on the cliff, and then a bunch of petals are flying out into the night sky, and it flies over to Rafiki's tree, who notices something's up. He realizes that Simba's alive.
Yes, he is alive.
And he takes this fruit, he opens it up and takes like the juice of it, it's red juice, and paints it on the wall.
It is time.
That is true. It is time for Simba to be king. And this is where Nala shows up. Right after Timon and Pumbaa were singing in the jungle. In the jungle, the mighty jungle, the lion sleeps tonight.
We know what.
Unfortunately, that song got interrupted by Nala.
Well, actually, Pumbaa was following a beetle.
Yeah. And then Nala goes after Pumbaa, and then Pumbaa gets stuck in a tree stump, and it's like, she's gonna eat me!
Wow! Gee, why am I the only one had to save your...
I think Timon's trying to save Pumbaa's ass. That's what I think he was going to say. And then Simba fights Nala, but he realizes it's Nala because Simba finds out that she did this move on Simba when they were kids. Like this one move, like Simba puts Nala puts Nala on her back, but then Nala does the same move that Simba did, and does the same move as Simba did, and Simba recognizes it. That's how he recognizes Nala. And then of course Nala and Simba reconnect for a little while. This is where it leads up to another good song, "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
Well, two versions of "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
That's right. One in the movie, then they did the one in the credits where it's just Elton John singing.
And to which it took home the Academy Award.
It took home the Academy Award for Best Original Song. And I think there were two other songs that were also nominated too. I forgot what they were.
Yeah. One of them is "The Circle of Life."
Oh, that's true, yeah. That's true. Circle of Life was also nominated. And I believe Hakuna Matata.
Probably.
But anyway, even after that song, like Simba and Nala were talking again, but unfortunately this leads up to where Nala is saying, like, Simba, you gotta take your place as king now.
What? Why?
Because the Pride Lands and Pride Rock, it's desolated. It's desolated and Scar is taking over as king.
I can't. I don't even understand why. Because it doesn't matter. Hakuna Matata.
Because Simba still thinks he's the one who murdered his father, even though that's not the case.
And this is Simba's responsibility to take over the Pride Lands.
It's Simba's responsibility. He thinks that he's responsible for killing his dad.
And Simba is just disappointed.
He's disappointed in him. He's disappointed in himself. Like you can definitely feel that pride inside Simba. Like, oh yeah, I'm all over that. But no, you got a big responsibility, Simba. You gotta go back there. Gotta go back there, face your uncle, and take over.
And of course, Simba says, you're starting to sound like my father.
Good, at least one of us does.
Ooh.
Okay, Nala. Oh yeah, that really set him off. Just like how set off Cameron was when he took down that Steve McQueen car. Destroyed. Goodbye. Oh no! Imagine how different that movie would have been if Ferris Bueller was like that. But anyway, after that argument, Simba is all alone right now until Rafiki shows up, who annoys Simba for a bit. But of course, he tells Simba, "No, your father's alive. You must follow Rafiki.
He knows the way. Come on."
Simba follows him. Leads up to, I want to say, the pond or something, and Rafiki shows Simba that Mufasa lives in him.
You see, he lives in you. And then you also get Hans Zimmer's score.
Hans Zimmer's score is playing in the background, and it leads up to Mufasa in the sky, in the clouds, as if he was, I want to say, as God, It's like Simba is speaking with God, if you really think about it.
And of course, Mufasa says, Simba,
you have forgotten who you are. You must take your place as king.
How can I go back? I'm not what I'm used to be.
Remember who you are. You are my son. You,
the one true king. Remember who you are.
Especially the line that he says, "You've forgotten who you are." If you really think about it, that second half, Simba, when he was growing up, he forgot who he really was.
And that's what Mufasa says. Remember who you are.
That is actually, I would go so far as to say it's the best scene in this movie.
Yes, and it actually fades away. And of course, Simba was like, no, please, don't leave me.
He's begging for help.
Father.
He's begging for help.
And of course, there's like versions of the Lion King in the like in the versions of the Lion King, the clouds have faded away.
Yeah, the clouds have faded away.
And then when it was re-released in 2011, you don't see it. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. I never noticed it because they did different changes to that.
Yeah. So. How come the clouds didn't fade away in the 2011 version?
I don't know the reason. I think it was because of the shot before it was starting to fade away.
I believe that is a continuity error right there in the 2011 version.
Yeah, I know. Some of the re-releases do that.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move forward to Rafiki, telling him, "Hey, it's in the past, but you gotta learn from it." He hits him with the head with a stick.
Yeah, it did. Ow! Jeez, what was that for? It doesn't matter. It's in the past.
He tries to hit him again. Simba dodges it.
Especially the line that Rafiki says, sometimes if you can run from it, or learn from it.
Oh yeah, he learned from it.
Ha! You see? So what are you going to do?
First, I'm going to get rid of that stick of yours. Aye, do not get rid of that stick. Aye, where are you going?
I'm going back.
Good, get out of here. And then Nala wakes up. And then Nala wakes up Timon and Pumbaa. They all scream like, "Don't ever do that again, carnivores!" Ugh.
have you guys seen Simba?
Unfortunately, Timon and Pumbaa have not seen Simba.
I thought he was with you. Yeah, he was, but he's not there. Where is he?
But Rafiki tells all three of them.
You won't find them here. Ha ha! The king has returned.
And then I was like, oh yeah, Simba's is going back to face his Uncle Scar. Who's got Scar? Who's got Scar?
No, it's his uncle.
His uncle's got Scar.
The monkey is his uncle?
The monkey is his uncle?
No. Simba's going to go challenge Scar at the Pride Lands to take his place as king.
Oh. And then the music from Hans Zimmer continues on. This is Simba running through the desert. I like I like how it's edited together. Like you see a faded transition. I forgot what type of transition it's called, but it fades into, while it shows an extreme wide shot of Simba running, it also shows an extreme fade in of Simba's paws running through the desert.
Yeah, I believe that was the best part of the film when he was running.
Especially where it transitions next is the Pride Lands being desolated.
Yep, and it's also dark too.
It's dark too, and then of course Nala, Timon, and Pumbaa come to his aid to take back Pride Rock.
At your service, my liege.
And then they need to find a distraction. They need to find a way to get rid of the hyenas.
Live bait.
That scene was that musical number was actually improvised. Because Timon was like, "What? What are you gonna make me do? Dress up and drag and do the hula?"
Yep, they actually did the hula.
They actually did the hula, and they decided to make Pumbaa an entree.
That's right. Well, the two versions, the animation, they did the luau, and the live action one, they did the version of Beauty and the Beast.
That's true. So basically, Pumbaa was just basically a big fat juice of meat. He's a big.
Yum yum.
And then of course some bacon as well.
Yep.
And all the hyenas are like, "Oh, bacon!
Bacon!
Looks like we're having pig tonight." And then the distraction worked because the distraction worked.
Yep.
The distraction worked, leading up to Sarabi's encounter with Scar.
Yep, and this did not end well for Sarabi.
It did not, because Sarabi was like Sarabi is against Scar, and then Scar is just saying, "No, you guys are not. No, you're just not looking hard enough, because the entire Pride Land's deserted. All the other animals are gone."
And it's well, to quote from Sarabi, it's over. There is nothing left. We have one choice. We must leave Pride Rock.
We're not going anywhere.
And then you have sentenced us to death.
So be it.
You can't do that.
Oh my goodness, Scar is a tyrannical ruler. You feel his wrath. And then Scar smacks Sarabi. He knocks her out until Simba appears.
Well, Scar thinks that Simba is Mufasa.
Nope.
Mufasa, no, you're dead.
Well, he looks like Mufasa. I can see the resemblance.
Yep.
And then of course Simba's reunited with his mom, and then of course Scar is like, "Simba, you're alive."
And then Simba was like, "Give me one good reason why I should rip you apart."
"Oh, let this all end in violence, shall we?"
I hate to be the responsible death of a family member.
Scar was going after Simba. He was trying to dust off his cobwebs.
Yes, and don't forget, Simba was like, "That's not gonna work, Scar. I put it behind me."
Yeah, but Scar kept going until Simba just dropped it. He dropped it, saying, It's true. I killed Mufasa." And then Scar's like, "He admits it. Murderer."
No, it was an accident.
"If it wasn't for you, Mufasa would have been alive. It's your fault that he's dead. Do you deny it?"
No.
Then you are guilty.
No, I am not a murderer.
Like Scar is cornering Simba to the edge of the cliff until a lightning bolt strikes it, causes a fire, a wildfire.
Oh, hell no. Now, this looks familiar. Well, he's trying to, like, put the pieces together.
He puts the pieces together. He realizes, like, oh, now I remember. This is the way how your father looked before he died. And Simba barely fell, but Scar grabs him by the paws with his claws, just like what he did with his brother. And he says, "Here's my little secret. I killed Mufasa."
You also get a flashback of Mufasa's death from the wildebeest stampede.
And of course, Simba jumps and tackles Scar.
Murderer!
You know, he knows that Scar did it. He found out that Scar did it because Scar spilled the beans.
Oh boy, gotcha.
Yeah, he got him. Until the hyenas and all the lions began to fight.
Oh, let's not forget. I killed Mufasa.
That's what Scar said.
And then the fight begins.
The fight begins, and I like this fight. This is a pretty fun fight. Like Simba is knocking out the hyenas. Even Pumbaa knocks out a couple. Even Rafiki shows up knocking out. I feel like he was Bruce Lee.
That's right.
And then and then Zazu being trapped in Scar's cave, and Timon just runs in, just goes inside Zazu's boned cell because he's scared of the hyenas.
Well, Zazu wants to get out of this cage.
Let me in! And the hyenas were about to eat them both, and then Pumbaa shows up and says, "Hey, drop him!" And then Banzai is like, "Hey, who's the pig?"
Are you talking to me?
He's going full on Robert De Niro on this one.
Uh-oh, you're calling him a pig.
Are you talking to me?
Should have done that.
Are you talking to me?
Now you're in for it.
They call me Mr. Pig. And then Pumbaa is so pissed off, he charged at the hyenas and breaks down the cell. So he scared the hyenas away.
Oh, I said that was very hilarious.
That was hilarious. And then this leads up to the final challenge between Scar and Simba.
And also Scar was on top of the Pride Lands too, and he sees the edge.
Yeah, he's on top of Pride Rock, just like how Simba and Mufasa were on top.
I believe this will be his demise.
Yep. And then, of course, like, he even said the same quote to Scar, like what Scar said to Simba. Run. Run away, Scar. Run away and never return.
And let's not forget that Scar says, it's the hyenas. They were the ones that killed Mufasa. It was their fault.
Unfortunately, Simba didn't believe that, but the hyenas heard it all. And, of course, Scar was going to leave like a coward he is. But unfortunately, he had to trick up his paws. He threw ashes in Simba's eyes, and he tries to maul him, but no. This leads into a slow motion fight between both lions. And I'm not gonna lie, the slow motion and the music from Hans Zimmer is really adds to that scene.
Yep.
Like this is a fight between uncle and nephew.
Yep.
It's a real good fight. The slow motion plus the roars from each lion. Fun fact: Frank Welker provides the roar effects for this fight. That's not an actual lion doing. That's not a lion sound. That's not an actual lion. That's not a real lion filling in for the sound effects. That's Frank Welker providing the roars. Like he used a metal bucket to make those roars.
And I'm pretty sure that he lost his voice after he did the roaring sound.
And then of course, like Scar has the upper hand, but Simba literally dropped. I want to say drop. I forgot what move Simba did, but he literally used his paws to like flip him over to the side, and he fell all the way down to the ground, surrounded by fire.
And by the way, Scar was able to survive the fall.
He survived the fall. That's kind of crazy how he survived the fall, but it's at the bottom is what comes next.
It's the hyenas.
Yep, Scar's like, "Oh, my friends."
Friends? I thought he said we were the enemy. Yeah, that's what I heard. Ed?
Was that? Oh my goodness! Was also a little funny too. Is like I like how the shot zooms in on Scar's face. Like he's like, "Oh crap." Yeah, they heard ya. The hyenas heard him, and then all the other hyenas starts crawling in on Scar. Scar's like, "Oh no, you don't understand. I was misunderstanding. No. No, Scar was acting like a coward, and he dies like a coward.
Yes, and of course, this scene was also dark too.
One of the darkest scenes of this movie.
You see his shadow form.
You see his silhouette being mauled by the hyenas.
And that's basically the end of Scar and the hyenas.
And then what leads up is to the ending scene, where the rain comes down to extinguish the fire. Everybody in Pride Rock comes together to see Simba. Simba is alive and well, and now he takes the throne.
And of course, we also hear Hans Zimmer's score one last time.
I think this is the scene. I think this is the moment where Hans Zimmer won his Oscar.
Yeah.
Like it's really the music. Like I said, the music in this movie is real good.
This was a well done musical score.
And then of course, once he got up to the front of Pride Rock, we hear Mufasa's voice one last time.
Remember.
And with that moment, Simba roars, and all the lions roar, too.
And now, Simba has become king of the Pride Rock.
Leading up to the end day, where all the animals cheered and greeted, they all cheered and greeted for their king, their new king. And of course, Timon and Pumbaa are up there too, along with Zazu, including Nala, which also is basically true. Nala and Simba are now king and queen.
Yep, and to close it off, Rafiki brings in a new lion cub.
That's right, and it's a girl.
It's definitely a girl, and this is basically sets up a sequel to The Lion King, and of course Rafiki holds up the lion cub. And then
it ends with the title of the movie, The Lion King.
And then that's basically it.
That's basically it. That is basically The Lion King. And I'm gonna say this: 30 years later, this movie holds up.
Yes, the film holds up to this day.
Like, yes, there was a lot to talk about in this episode, but can't deny it. No. 30 years later, this movie holds up. The music is great. The voice acting is solid. Obviously, the top three: Matthew Broderick, Jeremy Irons, James Earl Jones. All three, the three of them are basically the main trio.
Yes, three actors did a fantastic job providing their voices.
All the other actors do a very good job, but the heavy hitters were Matthew Broderick, Jeremy Irons, and James Earl Jones.
The animation was spot on.
The animation still is real good too,
and including the songs and of course Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer's score holds up so well, including Elton John's songs. Animation is real good too. I like the little blend of traditional animation with CGI as well.
Rob Minkoff did a fantastic job directing this movie.
He did a real good job as well.
The same with Roger Allers.
I like the story, and the story itself. I liked how they took William Shakespeare's Hamlet and spin it around, turning it into turning it into the Lion King as well. Like the Lion King, obviously, it is original. It is an original story. It is one of those films where it's not based off of a fairy tale. This one is basically from William. This is basically from William Shakespeare's Hamlet, but they spin it around, but with animals.
Yeah.
Because when you see some of the previous Disney movies, you see were basically from the earlier Disney movies are basically from fairy tales, right?
Mm-hmm.
While some of their Disney movies were basically original projects as well, including and of course a couple of adaptations as well. But The Lion King obviously is basically an original story, but with a Shakespearean twist from Hamlet.
Until they made a movie that came out in 1995 or 1996.
Hamlet, right?
Yes.
That had Kenneth Branagh.
Yes. Oh wait, 1996. The Hamlet movie that came out in 1996, starring Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
And of course, for The Lion King, you know that this film was gonna get sequels.
Oh yeah, the film got a sequel that came out in 1998. It didn't. Well, it was a good sequel, but not as great as the original.
Which is the second Lion King movie. You also got The Lion King 1.5,
which basically focuses on Timon and Pumbaa.
That's also a good movie, and you also got television shows too, like Timon and Pumbaa and The Lion Guard.
And of course, the live-action remake that came out in 2019, which was actually directed by Jon Favreau. Plus, James Earl Jones came back to voice Mufasa once more.
Yes, and of course, we also got Mufasa, the Lion King story, coming out in December of this year, in 2024.
That is true. We got a Mufasa movie coming out.
Directed by Barry Jenkins, who directed the Oscar-winning film, Moonlight.
Now, I don't know how good that film will be, despite the track record that the Walt Disney Company it has been going. Like the most recent Disney movies today have not been doing that well. So it's hard to say if this movie will turn out good or not.
Right, but I do have high hopes for Barry Jenkins, especially after directing the Oscar-winning film Moonlight with Mahershala Ali and taking home Best Picture. I have high hopes for Barry Jenkins. I'm hoping that he's going to pull this off very well, but right now it is very hard to tell.
But other than that, 30 years later, The Lion King from 1994 is arguably one of the best, if not the best, Walt Disney animated feature film.
And this film was able to take its pride
in the great circle of life.
And of course, rest in peace to James Earl Jones.
Rest in peace, and thank you to James Earl Jones for providing the voice of Mufasa
in both animation and live action.
And that will be a wrap on this episode. Now, to anybody who's listening to this, what did you all think of the Lion King, of the original Lion King that came out in 1994? Did you like the movie? Did you not like the movie? Have you seen the movie? Do you think this movie holds up 30 years later? I would love to hear your thoughts.
I would say this movie holds up.
I say so too, but for anybody who's listening, feel free to please comment below if you think this movie still holds up.
And Mark, thank you so much for inviting me back onto your episode of Codo Cinema.
No problem. But anyway, that will be a wrap on this episode. Thank you all for tuning in to Codo Cinema. I'm your host, Mark Codo, aka Codoman.
And I'm Mike Codo.
Remember to watch movies and stay positive.